Good afternoon. My name is Stephen L. Davis Sr., and this is my group leading report for Human Service Counseling 511. Our meeting was designed for men who have been incarcerated in the prison or jail system. Our group is entitled Life After Prison, Surviving Outside of the Walls. The purpose of this group is to assist men who are recently released from incarceration or those who have been released from incarceration for a substantial period of time become and remain members of their respective community. Our initial meeting was held on Wednesday, November the 21st at 6 p.m. and lasted for 2 hours. The location of our meeting was a place called the Gray House. The Gray House is a 24-hour center operated by my ministry, Brothers for Christ Community Response, or BCCR. Here, men are allowed the opportunity to come and just dump, come and just release, and come and talk to men who have traveled similar roads as they have. We had a relaxed atmosphere which allowed some men to be seated on couches and others in chairs. Remember, these men are either recently released or have been released from prison, and the structure of groups on the inside makes it more of a penal thing as opposed to a place to come and relax and unload. There were 12 men from all walks of life who shared periods of incarceration. I, as one of the men present, am a former addict and a returning resident who has been home for over 10 years. I'm 16 years in recovery, and as I said, I've been home for over 10 years, served over 11 years of incarceration in 2 states, and now I'm pursuing my master's in Human Service Counseling, Addiction, and Recovery. As far as the relationship of the men in the group, no men in the group were related, and none were related to me. The only thing that we shared in common was the fact that we had all been incarcerated. I served as the group leader in this meeting, and the future meetings scheduled, I will remain the leader of the group as we are working out some issues. The purpose of our group is to assist men who have returned from society and are trying to become and remain productive members of society, as I stated earlier. See, there's one thing to be acclimated to society, one thing to re-enter society, but many times we re-enter society and we don't have a plan. We don't have a plan A, let alone a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, or G, because things on the inside look different from what actually happens on the outside. As a returning resident in the ministry, I've held many groups and spoke on the needs of those returning to society in various forums, various coalition meetings. Our group dynamics and the content and the process. The group opened with a word of prayer, followed by an explanation why we were all gathered together. The introduction lasted for about 8 minutes as the men had already been interviewed and signed confidentiality waivers prior to coming to the meeting. We want to know that what's said in the walls, stay in the walls. What's said in the group stays in the group. And so with that, we found that having the confidentiality statement was a key aspect. The progression of the group was smooth. I like that. It was smooth because all members had a desire to be present, to learn and share from their experiences. In the introduction phase of the group, each person introduced themselves by name and gave a reason for being present. Example of that was, my name is Stephen L. Davis Sr., and the reason that I'm here is because I want to share my experiences with those who find themselves in situations as I once found myself in. We wore nameplates, and after the individual spoke, they called the name of the next person and asked them to introduce themselves. After the introductions, I passed out handouts that related to the group's goals of successfully transitioning from incarceration to the free world. The free world is defined as the world beyond the bars of incarceration, even though we know that out here in the world, everything is not free. The members of the group were engaging, and participation from each member was active, open, and honest to the best of my ability of understanding as they spoke. During this phase of the group, I used a designated word round, posing the question, do you believe this group will be beneficial? The response choices were yes, maybe, uncertain. When I think about my assessment of self, upon reflecting upon my performance as the group leader, I feel that I facilitated the group in a manner befitting a good leader. My ability to maintain an effective flow of the information and topics shared while engaging the members was well received. In one instance, though, a group member with a substantial amount of time in the free world decided he wanted to critique another member who was just freshly released from incarceration, and I had to cut him off. And at first, I felt that was going to be hard because this individual posed the character or the attitude that he had the all-know-with-all. But I cut him off by asking him to reflect upon his re-entry the first 3 times and what made his last time different. I went on to share what my expectations were the first 2 times I was released from incarceration and how reality differed. The group members agreed that this process is different from what each person will expect and should be gauged on an individual basis. In conclusion, I would like to share that when thinking back over the experiences with our first group, I found that the information I obtained from the course resources, Forsyth Group Dynamics, Jacob, Shamil, Madison, and Harville, Group Counseling Strategies and Skills, and the video provided by Corey and Corey, I am better equipped to lead groups in the future. I believe that it is important for me to continue to seek guidance from those who have gone before me in the areas of group leadership. Group leadership is not about controlling the group, but it's more about guiding individuals as they strive to meet a common goal. This is Stephen L. Davis Sr., and this is my group leading report for Human Service Counseling 511.